Hello and welcome on my channel, and also welcome to the third episode of Garden for Self-Sufficiency. And in this episode I want to give you an update on how our garden looks, what is going on here in our garden now in the beginning of September. So season is almost over, so we have now I think the 6th of September, and we have still 4 or 5 more weeks to go in the season, and then temperatures drop, weather goes down, and it becomes very cold, so then actually everything stops growing. So here now our update for September. Let's start here at the end of our veggie bed. Here we have our flower mix. So we see it here in our small square, a lot of different flowers, like a mixture for our insects. And what you still can see, we have still a lot of pretty flowers there. We have some blue flowers, we have some nice dark purple ones, some red ones and some yellow ones. It looks a little bit unsorted, a little bit weeded, but yeah, I think that's like how these flower beds are gonna look like. Due to a lot of work in our everyday life, our work and our jobs, we were not so good in getting all the weeds cleared out on time. So for example, what you can see here in between our strawberries is like a lot of clover growing at the moment, or a type of clover. Which is actually not bad, because clover is a leguminose and it can actually fix within the symbiosis with bacteria nitrogen from the air. So actually this plant, and also many others, can fertilize your ground. So that's why we kept it actually growing here. So what else do we have here? So here to my right, there's our veggie corner for the winter time. So we grow different types of leek and spring onions and the parsnips. All of those plants are resistant to freezing nights, so they are winter hard, so to say. And they had to fight quite some pressure from the weeds, but I think now they really managed to establish very well, and we are curious how they're going to perform during the winter time. So what else do we have here? So here we have our chilies, our chili corner mainly speaking. So we have again here our poblano chilies, our jalapeno, and kind of a red chili type, just a very classy looking chili. And they're already turning red, so that's very promising. Here in the front of me we have our zucchini. Unfortunately we forgot one zucchini, and that zucchini became really massive. We also have here some tomato strains, again like the Romanian tomatoes and like a heirloom tomato, which is very big, looks like a beef tomato actually. Then let's check over here. We grew our cucumbers, so they're actually still growing, but as you can see from the plant how they look now, they are pretty much at the end of the season. But these 3 cucumber plants, they give us a lot of nice tasty fruits. So what else you can see is we also grew a different type of cucumber, kind of a baby cucumber. So this is what you can see here. So this plant here is like a baby cucumber and has like fruits maybe this big. And the fruits are slightly sour, acidic, and very crunchy. And I think they're always a very nice addition to one of your salads. All right. By the way, have you ever thought about where does actually all the slugs hide during the day? So we have a lot of mice here running around in our garden. And one of those days I was walking around and I watched random inside a hole of a mice. And guess what I found there? A very big slug. And actually it was over here in the ground next to our leeks, and I'm going to show you in a second how this slug was hiding there. Alright, so far so good. Still in the front are our herbs. Here we grow thyme, celery, rosemary, which developed very nicely over the season. Some parsley, chives, some mint plants and many others. Unfortunately the lettuce that you can see here up in the front is not that edible anymore. It started to bolt. So our idea now is let's just let it flower and then harvest the seeds later on, so to create our own lettuce seeds. Yeah, so far so good. And now I want to go with you to the garden and gonna show you some other projects, also the other veggie bed, what we have done so far, and let's go. So what you can see here now, that's our small side project. We call it the fig project. So here we're growing a white fleshed fig, and we started to bend down this fig tree like already in 2019 in the winter time. And so we're bending down all the branches that they are almost horizontal, so that the whole plant becomes not tall and unreachable to harvest, so more like wide and elongated, so that it's always very easy and comfortable to harvest these figs. And yeah, we bended them down, and as you can see, we really bended them down almost the horizontal stage, and it worked out very well. Last year we had really a lot of fruits. This year is a little bit less, so I assume that next year is going to be another good year with a good harvest. The fruits, when they are ready, like in the beginning of August, they are super sweet and very, very juicy. So it's a very real candy bush here in our garden. And yeah, I'm going to show you now how the bending looks like. So for the bending we used 2 poles in the ground. They're easily half a meter deep inside the soil, and then we used kind of a stick from a broom to tie our branches to it. And as you can see, the fig is actually quite powerful pulling against it. So one of the first things I did already in the very first year is planting these hecke plants, or like this root protecting plants. I don't know the real term for that, like view protection, hecke, I don't know. Anyway, so this plant is growing actually quite quick. It's not adding too much of diversity to the ecosystem. However, to balance that out a little bit, I planted some clover underneath in the first year. Also to give the ground some green fertilizer, because as explained previously, clover is actually fixating, or able to fixate together with bacteria nitrogen from the air and put it into the ground. And furthermore, the clover is a very nice flower for a lot of insects. So in that regard, I try to balance out the lack of biodiversity. And yes, I think now we are going to the other bed, the new veggie bed, the sunny side veggie bed, and come with me. So, here we are now at our second veggie bed, or also we call it the sunny side veggie bed. And what you can see here in the front are Romanian tomatoes, and they start to getting red, or we actually already harvested quite a bunch of nice red tomatoes. What else is going on here? So here in our bean section, the beans are pretty much done. We still have some kidney beans left. We're going to harvest very soon, and then we actually store the kidney beans in a dried version. Here in our zucchini bed, actually we just have 2 or 3 small zucchinis left, very much producing these few plants here. And what else? So we have here our corn square. Here we grow different types of corn. So we have, like mentioned before, like a sugar corn, like a popcorn, and a blue corn, and a corn from Mexico. The corn from Mexico is the tallest growing corn here. It's easy, longer than 2.5 meters, but it's not flowering yet. So I assume actually this corn is not very suitable for our climate zone here. So our brassica square is doing very well. So first cabbages are getting, or forming like a nice ball. Our kale is doing very nice. I think soon we can also harvest the first ones, though we wait until we had the first freezing nights to really have the more sweetness in the leaves. Also our flower sprouts looking beautifully purple and nice, and you can actually see already the first flower sprouts coming up. So I'm very curious how they're gonna taste. And last but not least, here our pumpkins. Here we have our Hokkaido pumpkins and our butternut pumpkins. They do very well. They actually now turn the fruits with a nice color, or the fruits are getting a very nice color currently, and they really look delicious. What else happened here in the meantime? Yeah, we harvested our sunflowers. The majority of sunflower heads are chopped off, and we're gonna store and dry our sunflower heads now for the winter time, and mainly we're going to utilize them as bird feed. So the ecosystem is kind of feeding itself. So what else do we have here? We have our bush beans, and yeah, these bush beans are pretty much ready by now. I think they are more than ready actually, so we're gonna harvest these beans, and then we utilize these beans as seeds for the next season. And yeah, that's it from the sunny side veggie bed, and now we go and check out my tomato project. So here we are now at the tomato project. These tomato plants I already announced, or like I already mentioned in one of my previous videos, in a video about how to train tomatoes and how you can increase the yield. And so far so good. They develop very nice. This year I think for the first time in my life I really managed to hit the right time to let them flower. So like in the beginning or at the end of July I stopped let them produce flowers, so I snipped off all the flowers. Usually what you can read or what you hear is that like at the beginning of August you should cut off the tip of the plant. I don't want to do that because I think as more leaves a plant has, as more photosynthesis the plant can make, and as more sugars are available for the fruits. So I hope we have very tasty fruits, and so far they're very tasty. And yeah, I managed that very well. and I kept it growing, and I will keep it growing. And as you can see, actually the remaining few fruits are still actually filling up and are slightly turned red now already. So I'm very optimistic that we're gonna make it happen, that all the fruits are getting ready up until the end of the season, which is like beginning to mid-October here. So here we are now at our wood storage place. So this is actually what you can see here, that the wood harvest of 2019. This year in 2020, early 2020, we also harvested a lot of trees. I'm gonna show you in a second. And I was trying to build this wood shed actually out of the materials I could find here. But you can see, for example, all these wood logs are grown here, so I chopped some trees off that were dead anyway, and I utilized them to build this structure. Of course, I had not enough material, that's why you see these wooden poles there that I bought. Furthermore, we have here the wood separated in different categories. So all the wood that is here in these boxes is actually kind of pine wood, pine trees, and that is meant to be utilized in campfires. And then we have all these woods here in between the boxes, and that is actually hardwood. We have a cherry tree here, we have an apple tree, we have an old plum tree here, and with this wood shed we always, we are trying to have always dry wood on site if you want to make a campfire or if you want to heat up our houses. So this is the wood shed here for splitted wood. We also have a wood storage place for big logs, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So let's go. So here we have now our wood shed or wood storage place for big logs. Nothing fancy, just a few pellets. The logs are not touching the ground, so that no humidity can rise up from the bottom into the wood. And yeah, we just covered up with a plastic liner, and that's it. So nothing fancy about this place. And I guess in this winter season, like in December or so, when there's a little more time, I'm going to split all this wood and put this to our other wood shed. This was the third episode of Garden for Self-Sufficiency. I hope you could learn something and you liked the video. If you want to motivate us very strongly, then it would be very nice if you subscribe and like our channel. We wish you very nice gardening, big fruits, big harvests. I think now is the time of the year to harvest all the stuff you seeded in the beginning. And we wish you happy gardening. Your Paul from Wolf-Aqua, and bye bye.